questions for you as well. So let's go ahead and get started. And Maria, thank you for joining us, and all the new folks. So just, I love that you guys are on board with us. Thank you. Each week we've been meeting together, and I'm so appreciative for having this opportunity, because we're kind of being creative with a new opportunity to utilize new technical, wonderful opportunities that are at our disposal. One of them is this Zoom conference thing. I want to remind you that we're here today basically to discuss and to explore the gift that was given to us by the ancient Vedics on astrology and Ayurveda. Now, it's going to segue into a couple of other things, and of course you always want your opinion on these things, but we have to be reminded that astrology and Ayurveda were sciences. They were sciences given to us by the ancient Vedics as ways to improve, and not only improve, but also to create abundance in all aspects of our lives. In my lecture series, we of course have the modern medicine meets metaphysics, but there are 3 lectures and workshops that we do, all designed to create abundance in our lives by using these ancient sciences. We have astrology and Ayurveda for health, for love and romance and relationships, and karmic path. This week alone, I did 2 readings for 2 people whose children were not doing well in school, and we looked at their charts, and we were able to see and direct them into places that were more productive based on where their strengths were. Astrology and Ayurveda were created by the Vedics 10,000 years ago. They were designed to be utilized to create that abundance. And we have to remember, folks, our bodies are made up of 80% water. And we teach a science course based on the efficacy and credibility of this science by saying, very simply, the body is made up of 80% fluids. Those fluids are in the form of blood, lymphatic fluid, cerebral spinal fluid, which ends up being one of the most important things. All our neurotransmitters are all in solution. Okay, acetylcholine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, noradrenaline, all those wonderful things that govern the synaptic jump that creates a sulci in our brain that says, I like this, or I don't like that, or I'm good at this, or I'm not good at that. Okay, all the celestial objects in the universe. This is our mission statement for those of us, Noel and Delia, if you never joined us before. We're talking about the foundation for the reason why we use these sciences as ways to create abundance in our lives, as I've said already. So these heavily weighted celestial objects, at the moment we're born and the doctor smacks you on the bottom and we breathe in air and we enter this new consciousness, we imprint all the weight and gravity. Isaac Newton proved that Isaac Newton proved that any object in the universe that has weight has density. Density has a pull. At the moment you're born, we don't take a newborn baby out into the sun, right? No, when you had your babies, you would never take them out there. They have immature skin cells and they would get burned and altered. But at the moment that they're born, neurologically, when the cord is cut, all the ionized energy of planets like Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and the moon, they imprint their influence gravitationally, energetically, ionically, and radioactively into our neurotransmitters, giving us our likes, our dislikes, our tendencies, the things we're good at, things we're not good at. Every major government around the world is using astrology as a way of gaining an advantage over their rivaling governments. I say every week, Nancy Reagan got Ronnie elected in 1979. She saw that his Jupiter was lining up with Mars. She says, okay, Daddy, this is the year we run for presidency. In my lecture, I got a great picture of our current president using a crystal ball with some Arabic people. It's actually very chilling. But we know, and Mom showed me this a couple of weeks ago when we were doing the radio show, that Marla Maples was a huge influence in his life by using astrology. When you know certain patterns of when you're getting a little push from the universe, or as Kenny Rogers says, to know when to hold them or when to fold them, we can use these sciences as great advantageous catalysts in our lives. Now, what is Ayurveda? Ayurveda is the ancient science that measures the energy by which we can navigate through our astrological tendencies. It's basically made up of 3 energies. And those energies can be seen through our astrological charts. I use myself as an example. I am the consummate Pitta. Belinda, Pitta. Michael DeLeese, very Pitta. We're aggressive. We're type A people. We get red and hot very quickly. I look at my beautiful business partner next door, Edward Miller, and Nuya. More slender physique, have a lot of Vata, airy creativity in their charts. They're ruled by more air signs, like Nuya is a sun sign of Aquarius. Eddie is a double Gemini. A lot of air, a lot of creativity, that's Vata. Each of these doshas, each of these categories can fall out of balance if things are excessive in their lives. And we can use things in our lifestyle to bring that energy back to balance. And then we have the third, my most favorite Ayurvedic type, Rosa Severini in the middle with her beautiful rainbow background, is the consummate example of what we call Kapha, the relaxed, gentle type. When we look at her astrological chart, we see a lot of astrological signs in key places, in key planets, that indicate a more relaxed, softer tone, like Kapha. We see Taurus in her sun sign, we see Cancer, we see Pisces, all those things. We're just admitting somebody else. So this is basically our mission statement, and I'm going to teach you guys week after week how to use these things as tools. Like, for instance, Michael came to me, his Pitta, his fiery, red-hot personality, his triple Aries in his chart, out of control. Michael, what do we do to mitigate some of these changes in your life to bring down your excessive Pitta type A, which was giving you outbreaks on the skin, which is typical of Pitta out of balance? What did you do? First,
okay, I unmuted. You're picking on me today to speak when I'm in one of the high anxiety moments. It's like,
just tell us the three things you did.
Well, we mitigated with diet. We some meditation, I guess, that helped.
Right. Dietarily, one of the big things we did for Pitta with the hot, excessive heat is we started incorporating half a cucumber a day and a couple little organic dairy products.
Yeah, if you want specifics, yes, I added it in cooling foods and took away heating food. So I'm not having red peppers, Thai food as much or at all. Really. So yeah, specifically, we introduced whole organic milk. We introduced, which I was not having at all, and cucumbers, just major hydration, magnesium, all kinds of like supplements as well.
That's great. Thank you. That's what the point here is, that any one of these categories, when out of balance, is looking for balance, and we can address these things. Remember, Ayurveda is like feng shui for the body. Everything counts. In an out of balance Pitta, we introduce some cucumbers, some milk. We change the colors that you wear, not too many red, fiery, yellow and orange colors. We bring more earth tones that are more balancing, blues, these things, and meditations that are specifically designed to not activate your neurotransmission quite as much. That's just as an example. On the other side of the spectrum, Rosa, who's on the other side of Ayurvedic spectrum, which is all Kapha, and she's slow and she's gentle, we started to incorporate raw, organic, cruciferous vegetables as a way of bringing up her Pitta energy, because she was a little slow. She immediately dropped weight. Her skin looks amazing. You took 10 years off your life, and now you're like getting ready to do a whole bunch of projects that you were sitting on because of either procrastination or laziness, which is the consummate misbalance of Kapha. You don't have to activate, Rosa, just good enough that you're shaking your head yes, because we're going to go to the next thing here. You guys got the basic idea of Ayurveda. The same is true with using the right meditation, the right colors, the friends we choose. Everything in your life matters. All right, so we have a nice surprise coming up today, but before we bring on Mr. Eddie Miller, who's going to help us with a little meditation, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the universe right now. Because, by the way, for those of you who don't know, we're in our beautiful center here at Soul Trans Sync in Fort Lauderdale, where I do readings and treatments. I work with Edward. We have Bridges next door, which was a connected metaphysical center where we would do lectures and stuff, but everything's kind of on hold with that. So that's kind of why we're doing this. So one of the things that people are asking is they want to know what is going on astrologically. Every week we are talking about the big players. So let me just go over this. We did this on the radio show Wednesday, and I just want to share a couple of things with you, especially with the new folks that are joining us. So the big message this week astrologically is that much of what's been happening in September is not going to change. I'm sorry to say, we have been going through a lot. The big players, which are forcing us to focus on these big transitions, are again Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. And folks, in the months of September, October, and November, we're not seeing a lot of change going on. So all this transformation. Noel and Delia, I don't know if you guys know this, but Jupiter is like the Marshall amplifier. It's in the same wedge as Pluto, the planet of death and transformation, which is in Capricorn, is next to Saturn, that beautiful planet with the gaseous rings around it, which is the planet of change and transformation, is in alignment with Jupiter. An alignment like this has not happened in 600 years. It is so incredible that we don't even call it a transformation period anymore, or we don't even call it the big shift anymore. We're literally calling it an apocalypse. Noel and Delia, the last time an arrangement like this happened was 600 years ago. 600 years ago, Martin Luther stamped the Reformation on the Catholic Church's front door and said, no more killing us if we're not Catholic or if we're not conforming to the church's desires. No more killing us and putting us in Iron Maidens because you think we're heretics or witches. Okay, from that point, we emerged and launched ourselves into the age of discovery and the age of creativism. And that is what's going to happen on the tail end of this incredible pandemic and apocalypse that's happening. Now, one of the reasons for a pandemic of this magnitude, it becomes important on a cosmic and a karmic level, is because it forces us to go inside and face our biggest and most difficult corrections. My deep feeling is that most of us would not have done this unless we were forced to. You know, I know what's happening and I don't do it. And I've learned my lesson the hard way, because when I'm getting messages from the universe to transform and I don't do it, in astrology, when you get a message from Saturn to face correction and you don't proactively do it, the universe forces you to do it, and it's usually in a much more harsh way. So with that, and I guess you guys are asking, how do I know what my correction is? We're coming to that. Mars continues to be in retrograde also, which I wanted to share with you. I'm going to just back up a little bit because I think I missed something. Okay, so as we're saying, when the universe gives you the message to make a transformation and you don't do it, then it becomes really harsh. Not a very nice thing. So the question becomes, how do we make the changes? It's important to remember that based on Vedic law and Ayurveda, everything that happens around us is nothing more than a neutral event. It's only us that assign a perspective or a label to it, which gives it meaning. Yeah, it brings on that old concept and, you know, that philosophical concept, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, no, because the sound is only based on the human ear. And perspective and assigning a label to something only happens through human consciousness. The yogis say that if something happens in the universe and no one's there to see it, it doesn't even really happen. So if we can somehow change the meaning and the perspective that we have about things that would otherwise be frustrating, we could actually make them work to our advantage. I use the old concept of, in martial arts, when a punch is coming at your face, you don't meet it head on. You just take a small amount of energy and you divert it out of your way. And you use that punch to your advantage, because now your opponent is off balance and you can go ahead and crack them underneath the jaw if you want to. I don't. I'm a pacifist and a profound spiritualist, so I would never crack anyone under the jaw. Noel, you might do it because you're still a bully.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. I love you, bro.
Love you too.
So it's probably one of the most difficult things that we can do as humans, and we're doing a lot of it in this office, is to try to assign a different feeling towards something that we feel on a very human level could hurt us at our core. But if we look at those things rather than harsh occurrences, but as lessons and opportunities, rather than these unfortunate circumstances, we take deeper steps towards mastery and changing the vibration of the planet. In a nutshell, that's what this whole recent transformation has been about for 2020. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you all about, now that's just what's been going on since the last 7 or 8 months, is that this big arrangement with Saturn, the planet. Saturn is the father that smacks you on the rear end and says, okay, don't go into traffic. And you hate your father because he smacked you and he embarrassed you, but he saved your life. That's what Saturn is. And Saturn is in Capricorn right now. And here's the big hook. Saturn in Capricorn. Does anybody know what Capricorn actually represents when it's trying to make changes? I won't quiz you right yet because we're going to ask to hear from you, but Capricorn means skeletal structure. Capricorn means the structure of our political system, our financial system, our tax system, our social system, and guess what, kids? Our school system. Can we say that any one of these 5 systems has not gone through some kind of transformation? It's absolutely out of control how much it's gone through transformation. Capricorn rules in the world of health our physical skeletal structure. That's why I frequently look at people who come into my office and they've got Saturn, their own Saturn in Capricorn. I know they have skeletal problems, and Capricorn rules the knees. So we know that because Saturn is in Capricorn, we're going to learn a lesson about social structures. Now, if that's not enough, Pluto, the planet of death and transformation, is right above it. Now, this means that not only are we going to learn lessons, but we are going to face the death and transformation of all of these 5 systems. Now, I don't want to be a fatalist. Every one of you guys who knows me knows I try to stay very positive, but people are coming in with like sweat from their ears coming down their faces. I've had 2 people this week who just said they don't even want to be here anymore. It's not as fatalistic as all of that. We're just going to have to be patient for a couple of more months, because the events that have taken place over the last 7 months have followed exactly based on the prophecies by the Vedics and exactly as the astrological predictions have said. And for those of you who want to know, if you want to know what's going to happen, well, Saturn in Capricorn with Pluto, death and transformation, is what's caused all of this. They're going to be going direct very soon. And when they go direct and they move away from each other, we're going to see a little bit of a let up on this heavy duty energy that's been restricting us so harshly. All right, so there's something else going on astrologically that's going to lead us to what I want to do with a little meditation with you guys today. It has to do with Mars. Mars is continuing to be in retrograde while it's in the sign of Aries. Now, we don't have our resident astrologer, Christina, who's a beautiful 10-year-old anomaly who knows astrology so well. I'm actually going to go to her house tomorrow to do a psychic party with her and her mom and some friends. So she's actually going to join me in this reading party. She's 10 years old and she's absolutely amazing. But I was talking to her earlier and we were reviewing what it means when a planet goes into retrograde. This is a very scientific and astronomical configuration that happens. Mars is in the sign of Aries. It's in its home sign. It's aggressive. It represents one of the reasons why we're feeling this incredible push-pull thing happening right now. Okay, Mars, Mars was the original god of war. In Greek mythology, Mars was the warrior, and it was in ancient Rome, it was Ares that was the ancient warrior. Now we use Aries to connote the name of the sign in the area of the constellation universe. Let a lot of this stuff go in one ear and out the other. Here's the big picture. Mars is in its home sign of Aries. This gives Mars, the battler, the warrior, even more power. But it's going through a retrograde right now. Now, Mars being aggressive, it's an aggressive sign and it's in its home sign of Aries, creates more than a normal amount of push for new projects and new creativity. So we're feeling this incredible desire to be creative and push. I'm looking at Pam. Pam, she's got about 15 projects going on. So do I. But I told you, right now, because Mars is retrograde, we don't go too crazy trying to expect everything to fall into place. We appreciate Mars creating those wonderful opportunities, but all my clients are asking me, why is there feeling of such a push-pull going on right now? Well, Mars is going through retrograde. Do we all know what it means when a planet goes through retrograde? I'm looking at our new arrival, Ben Ortman and Noel and Delia. So for you guys, in case you don't know what a retrograde means, we've been covering this pretty extensively. When a planet is orbiting around the sun, and Ben, I don't think you heard our opening statement, but we're talking about the science behind all of this and the gravitational pull and the actual radio and chemical activity that takes place of these planets on our neurotransmitters and creates all our tendencies. Well, in astronomy and astrology, when a planet is orbiting around the sun, it goes retrograde when it reaches a point in its orbit that it appears to our human eye as though it's slowing down or actually even moving backwards. So is it moving backwards? Not exactly, but who cares? Because out there's no human being to give it meaning, just like we said. But to us, we give it meaning. We say, oh my God, Mars is actually moving backwards. It makes us take on qualities of wanting to look backward at our Mars activity. Everyone knows what Mercury retrograde means. There's one coming up next week. I know you all always ask me, when's the next Mercury retrograde? That's what everybody knows about. That's coming up in 2 weeks. But right now, Mars is retrograde. So we said that Mars, the planet of action, the planet of creativity, is going and pushing us forward because it's in its home sign of Aries. This is excellent. We feel this great incredible surge to get new projects going. Pam, you're going crazy. I'm going crazy. However, there's this huge pullback because Mars is retrograde. And the way to mitigate the effects of a retrograde are to do exactly what it's asking you. Retro, go backwards and look at your past actions, okay? Because retrogrades are based on their pure definition, to go backwards, to do anything to push forward creates a little bit of frustration. Okay, I'm trying to find my spot, but rather look back at previous actions. Okay, so what we really want to do during this period is we want to look back at our actions. I did this with you all last week. Because Mars is action, I asked you all last week to make yourselves really vulnerable and talk to us each about the actions that you've done from the past that were either supportive of your greatest soul growth, or were they actions based on ego and fear? That's really what it comes down to, because that's what all this separation is that's going on in our 5 systems right now, in our tax system, in our school system, in our political system. We have 2 groups, as the Vedics described it. People who are trying to move the energy on the planet forward, change the vibration of the planet, and move us into the next generation. And other group of people who still fighting with their own identity and their own feelings and beliefs. Right now, it's said that people who are going through a Mars retrograde, if they stick to their guns and don't allow themselves to look back at their own previous actions, are going to basically implode and self-destruct. Okay, so we go back to, we said, with Mars retrograde, we want to go back and look at our previous actions. I say let's do it over the last year, because we were given a great opportunity to do it as of 2020, since this pandemic hit. And we want to look back at those actions and see if they supported our greatest soul growth, or were they actions based in fear and ego. Now, here's one of the catches for today. It's said that vulnerability allows us the greatest opportunities to find our God and goddess strengths. Why? This is the million-dollar question. And guys, I know I've gone kind of fast. I felt like I was a little bit pressured today because we're trying to squeeze it all in. But I want to slow down for a minute because this is important. I'm just going to repeat that one more time. The Vedics teach us that vulnerability allows us one of the best opportunities to find our God power and our goddess strengths. Why? Why is vulnerability so important? Because vulnerability negates and eliminates ego. Why? We know ego is just another version of fear. When we're not in our ego place, we want to, when we're in our ego place, we try to create a specific version or an image of ourselves in the eyes of others. Astrology and Ayurveda almost always give us great insight into our own personal areas of inner and outer conflict. And it's frequently based on ego. So one of the specific areas that we like to look at to try to find our own area of correction is to look at our Mars and Saturn placements. Now I'm going to slow down because, like I said, I threw a lot at you guys. Why do we look at Saturn and Mars? I'm thinking about what Annabella used to say in our old lectures. She used to say, she put a picture of me on the PowerPoint. She says, Dr. Kelly says, if we ever took out Saturn and Mars out of our chart, we would be left with nothing but happiness. And the reason why is that Saturn and Mars were given to us as opportunities to make correction. All right, so here's how it works. I'm going to bring this whole thing full circle, I promise. Mars is about how we battle with each other. It's the way we create inflammation in our minds and in our bodies. But when we fight with others, it's all about ego. And Saturn is all about how we disempower ourselves through hurting ourselves. My mother taught me at a very early age, learning astrology, that Saturn is about how we shoot ourselves in the foot. So my Saturn is in Pisces. I asked you guys last week, and I'm going to ask you again, and we're going to see who is going to have the chutzpah to really rise to the occasion today. My Saturn is in Pisces. I'm going to lay myself on the chopping block and tell you my biggest correction for this lifetime is exactly what Saturn in Pisces is. Adam Abramowitz is somebody else who has Saturn in Pisces, but he's not here with us today. People born with Saturn in Pisces have to watch out for the misuses of Piscean energy. Pisces is a wonderful sign, but not when you have it in Saturn. You got to look at your corrections. So Saturn in Pisces means that I should be looking at my escapism type of qualities. People born with Saturn in Pisces tend to fall into the pattern of using drugs and alcohol and food as ways of escape. I have worked this to the final 10th power, avoiding substances as a way of dealing with escapism. And now I've turned this, just like the punch in martial arts, I've turned this into something relatively more productive by comparison. So now I go to the gym 2 hours a day, every day before I go to work, and that's my area of escapism. However, the other area of Saturn in Pisces is not letting go of people from the past. This is something I struggle with. This is something that's part of my ritual daily as a way of getting past, and I'm not over it. I'm still in the body, I'm still flesh. I'm not done with this incarnation because I'm still working on that. My Mars is in Virgo. People with Mars in Virgo, Virgo is the sign of intellect. Mars is the planet of battling. So when Mars in Virgo battles, we don't raise a sword. Our sword is our intellect. I can slash anybody to ribbons with my intellect in 2 seconds. I just have to use a proper amount of discipline and love and connectedness with my fellow men and women as ants on this big rock, and the collective, you know, the communal collective, and say that's not going to raise my soul vibration. So rather than that, use it as a way of teaching and helping people. I'm still working on it. If you get up in my grill, I might cut you down. I'm trying. What can I tell you? So this is just 2 versions of making myself vulnerable. Last week, I talked to you about, as Mars is in retrograde, some of the actions that I did that were not supportive of my soul growth. I told you about a lecture that I did with Annabella, and somebody had passed on, somebody from the center, and we were asked if we should maybe not do the conference. My Mars in Virgo, which is all about actions based on rationale and efficiency, said, no way, I'm doing this. It's all ego and fear. I looked back at it. And that's kind of like a cheese bowl example, because I didn't really put my head on the chopping block. If I really put my head on the chopping block and made myself vulnerable, I would tell you about all the misuses of Saturn energy where I connected to people from my past and I couldn't let them go. I'm working on it. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I'd rather hear from you guys. So I appreciate having the opportunity to get that all out. That was about 20 minutes. And one of the things that I think we can do before we hear from you is we'd like to hear from Edward Miller, who's going to take us through about a 4 or 5 minute meditation on Ponopono, which he's going to explain to us, which is going to change our vibration. I got my pitta up and I'm all fiery hot. I want to come down a little bit. And I think Eddie's the perfect Vata energy to bring us back. And then maybe we can hear from you all to discuss a little bit about some of those things that have made you vulnerable. Actually, excuse me, where we can explore your vulnerability from actions from the past, because we're honoring the Mars retrograde. Eddie, help us out. What do you got for us today, bro? No.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Very good.
And I'm going to get water while you take over.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Eddie.
Yeah. Listen,
Hi,
I
Ed.
am a life coach, and I teach a practice with my life coach called Ho'oponopono. I don't know how many of you have heard of Ho'oponopono. Good. It's a beautiful practice, and it's all about transforming your own heart through your relationship with yourself. And it really has been the biggest impetus for my life change. It's very easy practice, and we're going to go through a short meditation at the end, but the way it works is that it's a mantra. And the mantra is I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. Again, the mantra is I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. That mantra is not to respond to anything in the world. That mantra of I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you is being related to yourself, your inner self, most exceptionally your inner child. I had created products that help to dredge that mantra into your subconscious mind, because I think it's important that we, in order to have a more connected, be more connected with ourselves, we need to heal a lot of our childhood wounds. And the practice is a beautiful practice of getting back to your innocent self and changing your relationship with your innocent self. So what I'm going to do is real quick and you know, if you got any more information, if you want to know more about my practice of Soul Trans Sync or even the Ho'oponopono, I'm happy to talk to anybody about it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a meditation and the way I do it. And I'm going to use a technique, which is a breath technique, which will help to expand your spaciousness. The breath technique is going to start at the top with 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's going to be an inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And the exhale is going to be, it's backwards. The inhale is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to be breathing from 0 into your third eye area and end with 4. You're going to hold it for a second, just a moment, and then you're going to exhale with 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And you're going to be allowing yourself at 0 to feel your spaciousness, to feel your connectedness with your own heart. But it is a practice that you have to continue to do. I recommend that people do this practice in the shower, because I think it's a perfect place for you to let the hot water run on your back, which actually ignites your theta, ignites that spacious feeling in you. And you can do those breath exercises down to 0 in the shower in the theta state, which is ideal because it's helping to move energy and move the stuckness that sometimes we're stuck in. Ho'oponopono is really great because it's always releasing and cleaning what we're stuck in. It's always releasing and cleaning with that mantra what we're stuck in. And one of the things that makes Ho'oponopono most interesting is that it believes that there is no one else but you. So all of your conflict, all of your resistance are resistance that you're holding on to yourself, not in the world. The world is what it is. People are who they are. Circumstances is what is. But what we can most work on is how we relate to ourselves. And we start with our innocent self, that innocent inner child. So let me just go with you through a practice of how I do this meditation. I'm going to close my eyes right now. And I'm going to be very aware of my groundedness. Be aware of my back, connected flat in the seat. Be aware of my root chakra being open and connected to the center of the earth. And my heart wide open, wide open. I'm going to take a breath, a deep breath, starting with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, hold. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Open spaciousness, connecting with yourself, connecting with your heart. All thoughts are just moving through your mind, nothing you're connecting to, nothing that you're clinging to. You're just being space, you're being open, you're connecting with your inner self. Again, let's start with the inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go, release, open your heart. Let go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On that exhale, be aware of you're allowing yourself to be grateful. Thank you for your breath, for your 0, for your openness, for your nothingness. And then try another round of it again with 0, inhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Open, open, open. You're open. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I love you. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you. You're feeling yourself connected with yourself. You're feeling your heart opening up, and you're being aware that thoughts aren't there to torment you. They're just thoughts that come and go, and you're the breath. You're the spaciousness. You're the openness in that moment. So those inhales and exhales are something you do as often as possible. You can do it when you're feeling some anxiety or stress. You take yourself right into the space. You ground yourself, and you start with your inhaling with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the top for a moment. In that holding, you could even do some Ho'oponopono there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then as you release, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open in your heart, feeling connected to yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. I love you. I love you. Feel yourself connected with the I love you, because who you're professing your love to is yourself, is your whole self. And most in particular, you're connected with your inner innocence that often has been terrorized and suppressed. So this exercise allows you to reconnect with your innocence, be aware of your spaciousness, and allow yourself to move through energies and thoughts without having to be caught in the grip of anything. You just becoming aware of who you are as space. Yeah. So that's the meditation I do. It does require some practice, but as you do it, you're connecting very intimately with your spacious self. You know, the whole Ho'oponopono mantra again is I love you. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it.
Eddie, that was incredible. That was really good. This is, you know, when we first teamed up, we talked about the similarity between our breath techniques, and really, you know, from a physiological standpoint, they're all designed to do something very similar for the body, which is to oxygenate the lowest lobes of the lungs. But what it really does is it also sends oxygen to our pineal gland, which we know is the cosmic overlap, the overlap between the cosmic and the physiological body. So I want to say thank you. And I asked Edward to do this because I love being involved with Eddie. We have some big projects coming up. Much of what he does with his techniques parallels what we do with Ayurveda and with astrology. That's why I think we're working together. So I also asked you to do this today because I wanted you to get our vibration going in the right direction, because I really want to hear, we want to hear from some people today. And now that we did this, I said, Eddie, can you take everybody through a nice vibrational meditation that's going to allow us to feel a little bit safer in making ourselves vulnerable. The key to getting our God and Goddess strength is to eliminate fear and ego. Guys, we've been chosen to change the vibration on the planet. Every one of you here today, and every one of you who's been here for the last 5 months or anywhere along the journey, has been chosen to increase their own vibration so that you can help others. I don't want to sound trite or cliche, but the reality is that we are in an absolute apocalypse and a pandemic and a shift in our consciousness. If we can do it for ourselves, we can do it for others. And here's one of the key starting points. Number 1, with meditation and getting focused. Number 2, oxygenating our bodies. Number 3, we wanted today to talk about what it really means to eliminate fear and ego. I cannot think of a better stage by which to allow ourselves to experience vulnerability than with you all. And I'll go first. I did it last week. I'll do it again. And then maybe we can hear from some of you guys. The areas of great correction for me have been about letting go of people who I love from the past. This is my Saturn correction in Pisces. We don't need to know what it is astrologically. If you do, that would be great. And if you want to have your birth charts, you know where I am. I've done it for most of you. I think Maria, Mavi, we're looking at your chart this week. And I think we're looking at Iris's tonight. But for the most part, I've done everybody else's astrological birth chart. No, you don't know this, but I've also already done a portion of yours and Benji's. But we'll get a deeper look at it. But even without knowing your Saturn placement, how can you make yourself vulnerable? Because every time you make yourself vulnerable in front of others, you suppress your ego. When we suppress our ego, we eliminate fear. I told you I went first. I told you about an event that happened last year with Annabella, where I didn't listen to my higher sense. I didn't listen to my higher self and my soul progress to say, okay, let go and don't just eliminate it and don't be attached to results. If you do it, make sure you do it for the right agenda, which is to help move the energy of the planet going forward. I didn't. It was all about ego. I also have some other things which I'm happy to share, but I see that Delia is raising her hand. Delia, do you have something you want to share with us about really being vulnerable?
Yes, I wish that you could give us an example of vulnerability.
Okay, I'm here on the screen. Excellent. Thank you for asking, Delia. I'm here on the screen trying to create an image for you to try to make a connection a visual and audio connection with you on ways that we're chosen to go out and change the vibration of the planet. I have a nice shirt on. I got a cool little background. Who cares? Where's the substance? The real substance is when I get down and I say, you know what? My real correction has to do with not compensating by choosing extracurricular relationships while I'm in a committed relationship. This is one of my major corrections. It's a very, very vulnerable place for me, Delia, to say, okay, my correction has been not to run into the arms of another woman when everything in my present relationship is not perfect. Okay, you got the point, right? That's real vulnerability.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, now I'm embarrassed, but I don't care, because you know why? Because every time I embarrass myself, I take another step towards releasing my ego and my transformation. Who's got the chutzpah to do that? Belinda, I know you do, Miss Bitta. That's why I love you. Unmute, honey. Unmute.
All right, sorry. So my Saturn is in Aries. My Aries is in Saturn, however you want to say it.
Saturn and Aries, yep.
Saturn and Aries, and my Mars is Scorpio. And I guess over the last couple years to a year, I don't know, how long have I known you, Dr. Scott? It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
I have learned to not be reactive, and also over the course of the last couple months, I've realized I have majorly undervalued myself, therefore allowing everyone else to undervalue me. That's why I've been just taking care of people and letting people take advantage of me.
Absolutely. Now that's pretty good, but Belinda, I don't want to push you, but if you really wanted to go to the next step, which I know you and I have done specifically, we could get into specifics. I don't know if it's necessary. I do on one level, even though I'm completely committed to this idea of vulnerability to eliminate ego. We do have to go through steps. And like right now, that's a very general description, and I know what you're talking about. Can you, and it's okay to say no right now, because I don't know if I'm in very dangerous territory here with any of you. If we are, let's hope it comes from love and the desire to transform the planet. But is there a way you can go into something even more specific to make yourself even more vulnerable?
I guess, the people I choose to be in relationships with are quite a bit, I guess, what Dr. Scott would call narcissistic. But I guess the last one which really hit me was someone who was supposed to be maybe getting a divorce, and I allowed myself to take like second stage to that, and then there was really no divorce in the end. So it's pretty much in my face. So now I know, and it's because I undervalued myself and I allowed him to do the same. So
that's awesome, Belinda. That's amazing. It takes a lot of courage to do that. Thank you, Belinda.
You're welcome.
You're off the hook. You can go take a shower now.
I can go do my hair now, my makeup, and go out.
Eddie, you got a quick, and Noel. I'm sorry, Noel, next.
I wanted to say something to Belinda. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable and speaking how you feel and how things are really you're experiencing things is so important, because it gets it out of your head, and it gets it. When it comes out of your mouth, it becomes something that you can let go of. But when you're just holding on to your vulnerable thoughts or feelings, it really seems to cripple you. So I think everybody should find opportunities to find friends and intimate relationship where they can just talk about what their real heart is. I think it's really important in soul evolution.
That's the whole point, Eddie. That's the whole point of this conference, is to externalize the inflammatory internalization of all these feelings. Because if we can externalize them, we are liberated. Who was it last week? Where's Maria? No, we're coming to you in just 1 second.
Thank you, Eddie.
Hey, by Maria, last week or 2 weeks ago, Maria Fitzpatrick, she told us something so vulnerable, and I asked her how she felt afterwards. And Maria, you said you felt liberated. Well, that's how we feel because we externalize things that are causing an inflammatory response in our systems, in our brains, in our tissues and organs, and mostly our adrenals, which causes aging. For no other reason than anything else. Let's do it for vanity. I'm just kidding. No, what did you want to share with us?
First of all, thank you, Scott. I love you, Eddie. I love you.
Thank
That meditation and breathing, I really feel like it opened me up in a way that was unexpected. So I guess before that, this probably wouldn't have been an option. But my vulnerability is I choose isolation, and I choose lack of intimacy at the expense of the depth of my relationships. And it's something that
Beautiful.
other people would not even see or recognize. Scott, you've known me for 25 years. It's not at the face level. I can play a very good game and talk a good game, but inside, I know that I'm making these conscious choices at the risk or at the expense of really beautiful, deep, intimate relationships. I have a very happy marriage. Have wonderful children. That one is okay, but friendships and other relationships, I run and fear depth.
I hear that.
How can I tell you how appreciative I am from you never running from me?
Send me flowers.
I bought you enough tequila this lifetime to last 2 lifetimes.
Yes, you have.
No,
but yeah,
thank you for sharing that. That is
selective.
like, besides the fact that that is so articulate, one of the things that we're taught based on Vedic philosophy is that kind of specific, and Noel's a Virgo, so he's really good at articulating, like I try to also, in a very specific way. When we do our letters of abundance to the universe on maybe achieving a perfect partner, we ask that letter be very specific. The more specific that you become, the more the universe can't ignore you. So that's why I'm asking, okay, well, I tend to do this, but let's hear a really good example about it. Noel, that was awesome and specific and vulnerable, and I know we all appreciate that. Can we get somebody else to Anuya? Hi, babe. Unmute.
Hi. So mine is in Taurus, but I don't know what that means. My Saturn.
Wait, what's in Saturn or Mars?
Saturn.
So that means you have to watch out for retreatism and escapism like Pisces, but and hedonism and laziness and sloth. That's the worst aspects of Taurus. You're not like that because you have so much air in your chart that you mitigate it. But do you experience some of those things sometimes?
Well, what makes me vulnerable is I have a hard time speaking up for myself.
Right. And Taurus controls the throat chakra, and the thyroid.
And so I'll give lots of space for other people, but it's hard for me to raise my voice. And like, this is hard for me, right? To even be here speaking up. And I'm afraid people will not be interested in what I have to say. Cut me out or something, that's kind of my fear. And in relationships too,
And that's not possible because you're the person everyone from ARE turned to. You're the person I turn to. You're the person my mother turns to when we need technical help, which is ironic because it's a self-defeating energy because it's in Saturn. Remember, we say if we take Saturn and Mars out of our charts, we're left with nothing but happiness. If you have Taurus, Saturn in Taurus, which means that Taurus rules the thyroid, the throat, and the throat chakra, which is all speaking your voice. We know the bull can, at its very worst, be very, very quiet. Also, you have to watch out for sudden outbursts too, because if you hold, then you go pamploma on somebody, the bull goes crazy through pamploma. That's another misuse of Taurus energy when you have it in Saturn.
I was married to someone like that. I was married to a Taurus.
Right. So who else wants to join with us? Oh, Mavi, talk to us.
Was that me?
No, Mavi. You'll be next.
Oh, Mavi. Okay.
Mavi.
It's short for Maria Victoria. That's my name. So hi guys, how are you? Well, I have at the contrary of Naya, I have a lot of issues for me to deal with insulting or rude people. Like I speak out. I don't hold. I feel it's very unfair. I feel that it's very I don't know. I feel very affected by it. Like as sometimes even I don't even understand how come a person can be so offensive and can be nasty to other people. Sometimes even not even being right. Like they hold their attitude and they go all the way trying to smash other people. I can't deal with that. It's hard for me to step back and say, oh, it's okay, I'm not gonna pay attention to that. I'm gonna like I'm struggling with that. I feel like it's weird. I'm not about to say something weird, but I'm being told that in the past life I was a warrior, I was a man
Right.
from a high caste family, and it seems like I was in a carriage, those little horse things, little cart, and I was that kind of warrior. And it seems like I killed a lot of people. Oh my God, that's a horrible karma. I mean, but I sometimes I feel like that people should not be existing. Like why, like having a magic wand and say, poof, you disappear. Poof, you disappear. That's what I will do. That's my thing. But I'm trying to.
Mavi, I want to share something with you. I pulled up your chart yesterday. I know we haven't had a chance to do the reading, but you have your Mars in the same placement I do, a Virgo. So people with Mars in Virgo are looking for equity. And when you are examining what's happening around you and there's no equity and unfairness, people with remember, Mars is how you battle. Mars is the planet of war. Mars is the planet of how you look for justification and combatants with those around you. You have it in the same place I do, middle degrees in Virgo, which means that we're always looking not only for equity and beauty and balance in our conflict resolution, but we're also looking for using strategies on ways to battle as opposed to our bodies. You know, I played contact sports for years and I had major battles with people. I realized that at a certain point in my life, I said, I can do much more harm to my opponent by using my strategizing brain. Because I worked at, my brain works at 5 times the speed at most people. Anybody with Virgo energy, it's controlled by Mercury, which is very mercurial. So you're looking for ways to find equity and balance based on your Mars in your battle planet. Now, Saturn for you is in Gemini. Now, this has to do with the way you handcuff yourself and hurt yourself. So people with Saturn in Gemini tend to get to that place where they lose perspective and may experience extreme confusion. And even though Gemini is the sign of communication, when it's in Saturn, that communication is severed and you aren't able to get your point across. When you struggle with getting your voice heard in a very rational way, that is you hurting yourself with Saturn and Gemini. What do you do about it? Well, we're going to talk about it in your reading next week, but just a little snippet, a little tidbit to drop in your lap.
Yes, please.
I would suggest that people with Saturn and Gemini, rather than react to that airy, creative reactivity, is you do the 3 breath technique. You breathe in. It's kind of like what Eddie was doing, but we inspire for a count of 3. Breathe in, 1, 1,000. 2, 1,000, 3. Then you hold for 3. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3. And then you exhale for 3. Then you do it up to 4. Breathe in, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4. Hold for 4, exhale for 4. And I'll tell you why. At the end of this process, and you get up to 5, the way you were going to react is almost, what do they say? The statistics say 93 or 97% of the time is different after you do the 3 breath technique than the way you were going to react before that. So that's just one quick suggestion, because Gemini is very airy and quick with the intellect. So you want to not jump the gun.
Yeah.
Take a step back, and then you'll find your voice and it'll be composed and it'll be elegant.
That's what I always try, and definitely I really appreciate it, because I also want to, like you mentioned, to grow. It doesn't help my soul to grow. So thank you so much, Scott. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. We're gonna move on. So Joyce C, Mom, did you have something you wanted to say about an area of vulnerability in your life? You shared a great one with us last week, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't like it. Okay, thank you. And thank you all for being so honest and allowing me to be part of this. I really appreciate it. I guess my greatest vulnerability is the same as Belinda's, which is Saturn in Aries. So I have a tendency to sit and restrict myself whenever I want to move forward, which is very, very difficult because I have a sun, my rising sign in Gemini. So I'm all ready to go 24/7. I'm on TV, I'm radio, I'm writing, I'm doing everything. And then Saturn comes along and says, no, you're not doing any of that. So I have this constant problem of being so shy and so withdrawn. I'm extremely sun in the 12th house, so I don't want to ever go out or see anyone ever. But yet I have this real conflict, and it's my greatest challenge. So thank you for letting me share that.
That's amazing. Wait, Ma, before you go, and I've known this about you. We've talked about it a little bit. We know that recognition is the first step in conquering it. Do you have anything beyond the recognition factor that you implement as a way of getting past this?
Yes. I went to a seance many years ago, and my Indian guide came in. He said, don't worry, you can be on Channel 7. You can be on ABC with Regis and everybody and Oprah and all that. He says, I will go in first, and then you can follow me, so don't worry. But he was a spirit guide. So I said, okay. And that's how I got through it, because I knew that he went in first. Even though I couldn't see him, I could feel his presence. And that's what got me through.
But Ma, that's great. Ma, what do you do on a regular basis? What do you tap into on a regular basis? Can you call on them anytime you want?
Yes, because now that I've learned to work with the energy, all of us can do this. We can just call on Holy Spirit and say, I really need you to connect and to help me out now, because I am kind of stuck, or I'm terrified, or whatever the problem may be. I want to move through this quickly, and that's really the answer. So you're providing a great service, Dr. Scott. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mom. Who wants to try? Thank you very much for doing that. I want to turn the page here and see if anybody else wanted to share something with us. How can you really make yourself vulnerable? Maria, you're going to join us?
Something. When we spoke, Saturn was in Leo.
Wait, when? What?
Leo? Saturn?
Maria, your reception.
In Leo for me.
Yeah, your reception's a little poor, sweetie.
Hold on, let me.
Try again. Your Saturn is in Leo?
Shoot.
That's better.
Really?
Maria, that's better, honey. I think we can hear you. Maria?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi.
You said, oh, that's much better, sweetie. So you said your Saturn is in Leo. Do you know what that means?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, really well now.
So yeah, I think what happens for me is I need to get more out of my head a little bit and more into my body. And so probably what you had mentioned to me was to get up and maybe instead of doing a gym.
We lost you. We lost you, babe. Maria, I don't know what happened, babe, but we lost you. Maria? Okay. I'm sorry, Maria, we've lost you. Please come back and join us and finish what you were saying about, the head, getting out of the head into the body. Let's go with somebody else right now. Is there anybody wants to share a little bit about something really vulnerable that can really empower you? Anybody want to join in?
Just call on Holy Spirit if ever you feel vulnerable.
Well, right now we're working with a different method, which is, really exposing ourselves as a way of eliminating ego. We'll call on the Holy Spirit afterwards if this doesn't work. But let's talk about ways that we can really allow ourselves to have our inner part of us seen, the part that we always shield with our ego and our and our fear of letting people really see who we are. You know, we've shared certain things. Mabi shared something, Nuya and Noel. I mean, and Eddie, you guys share deep parts of you that you would not normally tell people. I want to ask you, like, Noel, you just did this. You joined the conference today. Is there a sense of liberation from what you said about, you know, running from intimacy?
Yeah, a complete sense of liberation. I think it's balanced in my mind now, and I'm going to wonder what this is going to be like over the next couple of hours, but it's balanced with a bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of, I feel protected, I feel safe, but also because I don't necessarily know people. I appreciate everybody's vulnerability, but there's a safety to this. Maybe it's an anonymity, in that I'm not concerned that everyone's going to run out and say, "Oh my God, you won't believe what Noel said." So by doing that, it is freeing for me. It's incredibly freeing. And now what I'd like to be able to do is put that in practice with people that I'm actually truly intimate with, not from a physical perspective, but emotional perspective. And this, I think, is a nice stepping stone, at least for me, for that, to be able to do that. And now it feels safe here. So can I take this to my quote unquote real life, which would be—
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Keep going and tell us how you'll actually pragmatically implement this with your relationship. I mean, I wanted to put you on the spot, bro, but that's so good.
Okay. Well, I think, because it hasn't been practiced yet, but I think the more of it I'm able to do, the more comfortable and confident I'll become, the less ego I'll bring into those relationships, because it does feel so good right now. I'm thinking, try it again with somebody that I'm intimate with, that I do have a little bit, maybe a little bit more at stake with, and just see. I have found that my greatest fears rarely come true when I face them in a unique and special way, mostly by talking about them. So
I have to tell you, I'm going to jump in 1 second. As I do more of this and I get past the hardest ones of all, like the one I just kind of glimpsed over and shared with you earlier, it becomes infectious. And it becomes like this, like Popeye's spinach, you know, where you just take it and you know, thank you, Noel. I'm getting really excited now. I want to hear from somebody else. We have a new arrival here today, and Ben Ortman has hidden himself. And do you think, Noel, you and I both know Ben very well. Do you think he would have the courage to come out and to share with us his deepest, darkest, and most vulnerable aspects?
I think he'll start somewhere. He may not go directly to deepest and darkest, but I have a feeling he might go somewhere. I know. Yeah, I think if he's not on another dueling conference call for work, I know I had a bunch of things going on, but I would bet on him.
Okay, if he comes back on camera, I'm going to stop everything and ask you to please be the fire that lights that under him.
So I'm so sorry, guys. I would love to be speaking around, but I have a class to go.
Okay, Mabi, I think we'll see each other Monday.
Yes, blessings, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye, sweetie.
Ciao, bye.
Ciao, ciao. So I'm going to flip the page here. Rosa, did you have something you wanted to share? I don't want to put you on the spot, but you have such a beautiful background. I can't bear the thought of not hearing a voice in front of that beautiful background. You have to unmute, sweetie. You have to unmute.
What can I say? I like beauty. To show things more than I really like to talk about it. That's one of my problems. And I had it in the past. A lot of people would say to me that I always wanted to be right. So lately I'm trying not to be so right and be more flexible. So, you know, I guess it's more like a sense of acceptance of other people and myself. Because if I want to be so right, other people wanted to be right. I wanted to be right. So I'm kind of giving myself a little permission not to be right all the time.
That's fabulous. I love it. You know, we got a lot of Taurus in your chart, so we know that there's a lot of unmoving energy at times, because once you lock into what it is you believe in, it's very hard to dislodge the bull from its foundation. And that's on a metaphoric level and on a literal level. Rosa, thank you for sharing that, sweetie. That's awesome. I am going to ask, does anybody want to share anything else with us? Iris, I know you've been quiet. Is there anything you wanted to? Okay. I think you're off the hook, Iris, because Eddie's waving his hand, but if you just want to share with us anything, just unmute and jump in on us, okay? Oh, there she is. Nope. Yes.
Okay. Go first, Eddie, and I will go.
You ready for me?
Yeah. Thank you, Iris.
Well, you know what? Everyone has been. I'm leaving town Sunday to Dominican Republic because I want a break. And a good friend of mine, who's a pastor, invited me to just hang out with him on the beach, Dominican Republic. And I was very excited about it, getting out of South Florida and going someplace new and being in the beach. And now I'm kind of terrified because I've been so safe, you know, these past months, and to be in a separate country now, outside of my comfort zone during this period of COVID, seems to be much more overwhelming than I thought it was going to be when I was planning this trip. So I'm just trying to be aware that I'm feeling a little overwhelmed and out of sorts. And the reason is because I'm more cautious about to take a trip than I thought I'd ever be about taking a trip right now. Very cautious.
That's another little area of vulnerability.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. I think you're going to be okay. We're going to surround your plane with white light, and you're going to be very well guarded and well cared for, because we need you in the next post-apocalyptic era, Eddie.
Can I say something, Scott? I want to add something.
Iris, will be 1 minute because Mom's jumping in. Yeah, Mom.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that you're more psychic than ever, especially being struck by lightning today. I think helps you a lot.
I was running in the rainstorm. I called my mother and I told her immediately, here are the codes to all my bank accounts and to my phones, because I got caught in the rain running, and the lightning literally went past my ankle, propelled me forward. My whole back turned like there was a bonfire. My ear went numb as though somebody blew a gun off in my ear. And I said, oh my God, my wish is coming. I get to leave. And then unfortunately after that, I was still running, and I probably had no hair left on my legs on that side. And I immediately called my mom and said, Ma, here's all my codes, just in case. So we're
so grateful that you're still alive, Scott. Thank you. And thank you for what you said to Noel. That was beautiful, because I heard the same thing in my head that you just said about how protected he is. So it should not be so concerned. And Scott, we're so happy that you didn't die.
Thanks, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so
Me too.
So we want to, Iris, can you share with us some areas of vulnerability, sweetie?
Well, for me, is that I am Cancer, and that made me to be so emotional and giving person. And in the past, I used to do that a lot. Then I realized that it was a way to be accepted and loved for people, because I always do with the expectation that they will do the same. Sometimes I used to get hurt because not everybody's gonna act in the same way that you do.
Right.
Then with the time, I learned that I don't have expectation with nobody. I do what I want to do. When I feel like I want to give something to other person, I do because I want to do it, not because I am expecting something. Then that can me say it was, but at the same time, it was hard to reach that place, because I had to take away all my fears about be accepted for other people. Then, but right now I feel that this is the right way to do, and I feel like I am more authentic.
Wow. Is this something that you get a chance to talk about with anybody, Iris?
Yes, I have a group of friends that we do a meditation club, and I have like 4 years working, in different aspects of my life to get better and to grow and to whatever. But it was the story of my life for almost 5 years ago, until I start to realize that, you know what, you need to put you first than the others, and then you first than the others, and that moment you will be better person and be more open.
Yeah, Iris, you you joined us last week and you're joining us this week. You're kind of like a new participant, which we're super grateful for. Noel had the opportunity. Noel left. He had to go pick up his kids, but he was talking about how he felt liberated by being able to share those kinds of things. Each time you get a chance to talk about this, don't you notice it loses strength a little bit and it gets a little bit easier each time?
Yeah, for sure. For me, you are a new group of people to talk. We don't know each other, and
Right.
it's kind of challenging. But yes, it's good to share experience with others. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. I noticed Michael DeLise is getting out of the car, which means that it's getting time for his treatment. So I think we're going to wind down right now. We're about 23 minutes after the hour. And I, of course, always want to sign off with you all by giving great thanks and appreciation. I think you're all rock stars. And I know that term is being overused a little bit, but what does it mean to be a rock star? It means like to really do the hardest thing. And this was really hard. I'm going to keep practicing it. And I'm going to encourage each and every one of us to use this method as a way of increasing your God and Goddess power, because you are chosen people. I don't mean to sound so biblical. We're all chosen in one way or another, and we're all chosen to do some work on this planet. Right now, the work that you all are doing, which is finding yourselves, increasing your sense of self-awareness and self-actualization, is going to be put to use because there's going to be people who need your help. I speak to each and every one of you, and each and every one of you talk about people who are looking to you for guidance. So as part of us providing guidance for others, we leave ourselves vulnerable. Remember, astrology and Ayurveda are great tools for us to be able to look into these things. Iris, we're going to look at your chart tonight. So we're going to see your placement of Mars and Saturn. It's going to help us a lot. I remind you that we utilize the tools that are given to us by the ancient Vedics and the things that you inherently know are so helpful as ways to eliminate our fear and our ego. And through that, we obviously increase our own strength and we act as templates for others. So I want to say goodbye to everybody and say thank you. Each week, we're going to talk a little bit about the astrological tendencies, the astrological arrangements and configurations that are going on as a way of staying consistent and current with the changes and corrections we would be well advised to be making, because when they coincide and they correlate with what's going on in the universe, they carry much greater power. Remember, Kenny Rogers said, got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. Another couple of weeks, we're coming up on a Mercury retrograde. It's not going to be a big time to make big changes, but right now, it's a little bit better. So that's why I'm very appreciative for this conference today. And I thank you all, and I'm going to say goodbye. We're going to get Michael on the table, and we'll see you all next week around 5 o'clock. Make sure to join us. And
hey,
please,
Scott, don't
guys,
the radio show.
Oh, okay. You can join. Mom and I do a show for half an hour on Blog Talk Radio. All you have to do is go on your phone to www.blogtalkradio.com. Time for Joy. If any of you guys want, just text me. I'll hook you up directly with the show, and you can call in and ask your questions there if you have any. Love you guys. See you next week at 5. Text me any questions you have. See you.
Thank you, Dr. Scott.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you both.